Hello everybody, welcome back to episode 72 of Talkoffamepod podcast with your host Kyliemontigney. And we're so excited to have on singer-songwriter Erin Grand. Thanks so much for coming on, Erin.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So you are a singer-songwriter. What made you want to start doing that and basically being in this industry?
I knew from a really young age that I wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and kind of started in church. And after I realized that I could sing and be on a worship team and kind of lead a crowd, I realized that I wanted to branch out and do it in the secular music world as well. And so I thought country was kind of the way to do it. I was very drawn to country music. I've grown up listening to country music. And so, yeah, it started young. Probably through church is the best answer to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, but since I was young, I basically kind of had a similar thing to you. Like, I always knew I wanted to be an entertainment industry, but I didn't know exactly entirely what I wanted to be exactly.
Yeah.
Like as I got older and during quarantine, I was like, I'm bored. I'm tired of watching TV. Like,
yes,
I can't do anything. Like, I'm bored. Like, I'm tired of doing living like this. And plus, I thought quarantine was gonna last for a couple of weeks. I thought, oh, it's okay to rest for a couple of weeks, not a big deal. And now it turned to a 2-year thing. I'm like, I'm sick of this. Like, I don't know how long this is gonna last. Like, I'm tired of kind of living like this. I need to do something for myself and just get out of my butt and just kind of do something for myself. And then I started this podcast as a little kind of fun thing to do and kind of do it as a joke and never took it seriously at first. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like the easiest thing ever. Like, this is gonna be the easiest thing I ever done. Like, let's do this. And now like a year later, I'm like, this is really hard.
Yes. Well, good for you though. This is such a cool thing. So good for you.
Thank you. So you recently came out with an EP called Anything But Casual. What made you want to start? What basically made you want to write the
EP? When I started writing music, so I moved down to Nashville in 2020, and I just kind of started collaborating with a bunch of people and co-writing. And I didn't really know that I wanted to put out a project really until later in 2020. And I kind of started getting like a big catalog of songs, and I'm like, I think I want people to hear these, like, besides myself. And I just kind of found that I had something to say, and I wanted to put it out in a project and kind of show, just multiple different personality sides of me and what makes me me. And I feel like this project does that.
Well, that's awesome. So out of all the songs that came out on the EP, which song meant the most to you?
I think the one that, this is probably surprising for some people, but I think Better with Wine is the one that really explains me. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of just different lyrics in that song that are just literally came from my personality. Like, it was just easy to write because it was about me. I would say that one. And I would also say Lonely Does, because Lonely Does definitely has like a meaning behind it. And I've said this multiple times when I play it out too. Lonely Does has got like a breakup side, and it also has a side of it that could be taken as like a true loss of, losing a loved one or your significant other. And I've witnessed that. And so it kind of was an easy song to write as well, sadly, because I've witnessed both sides of it. But those are kind of my two that I really resonate with.
Oh, I love that. Like, do you usually write songs that are based off on your life, or you do basically write songs based off like people like around you or the world itself?
Both, honestly. I am lucky enough to have never gone through a breakup before, and I plan to not go through a breakup currently. So that, anything that I write about a breakup typically is about other people, but all my love songs, or like Better with Wine is very like personality driven song, are easy to write, and they're about me. But there also was a time that I wasn't in love and I was writing songs too. And I like to say sometimes I like to write about what could be. And a couple years ago I wasn't in a relationship, so I was kind of writing about what could be. And now it's come true. So
yeah, I love that. So as like a singer-songwriter, you released like a song in like July 2021 called Better with Wine, like I think you mentioned before. What kind of inspired you to write that, basically? Kind of you.
Yeah, it honestly just who I am. I didn't actually ever start drinking until I was 21, and wine was like the first thing that I tried, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I fell in love with the taste. I fell in love with the experience behind it. I fell in love with just the different kinds and varieties, and I find it to be kind of a like a hobby almost. Like I'd love to go to Napa someday and go to all the wineries and see all the sites, and you know, that's kind of how it is for a lot of different kinds of alcohol, but wine is just the one that I chose. And I also feel like I become this like new, fun, more like vibey person after I've had a couple glasses of wine. And I kind of say that in the song too. So, and I joke about, you know, like a cup of coffee ain't a bad way to start the day, but I also don't mind, you know, having a glass of wine right when noon hits. You know,
yeah, you become a more better person after you drink a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes it's like hard to put it that way because I don't want people to think that I feel like I'm better when I drink. That's not necessarily how I play it, because I've gotten so much hate from this song as well. Yeah, people don't love that I talk about getting better after I've had a couple glasses of wine, but I don't mean it that way. I mean it in the sense of like, wine is an experience for me, and I don't get better. I don't feel better. I just like my personality brightens, you know.
Yeah.
It's not
that kind of clicks on you.
Right. Like I don't want people to ever think of it as something negatively. It's supposed to be something super fun and, you know, kind of flirty, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you're writing a song, do you usually focus on like the lyrics first or like the music?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love this question because honestly it varies, but I typically always try to come in with a title or an idea, and then we kind of have it flow from there. There have been times where I've gone into a room where I have like a line and I'm like, I want this line in a song. What could we do with it? But I would say I prefer to start with a melody. It's easier for me to have like a melodic sound first.
Absolutely. Like for every singer-songwriter that I talk to is really like different for everyone, because like it's really different for every song that you usually write. Because like one time you figure out like, oh, I should really kind of write specifically about this song or what about this position in my life, or I should really name this song this based off of like a movie that I enjoy or something that you enjoy.
Right.
So like is there any kind of songs or like, projects that you're currently working on kind of trigger to like some like that kind of trigger your life into naming the specific lyric or like song?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I would say there's artists that I look up to that really help me get inspired. Some of those artists are Bruno Mars, Maren Morris, Chris Stapleton. Kind of one of the newer ones I've been like dying over recently is Cassie Ashton. And she's kind of up and coming, and man, her lyrics are so cool and her voice is so cool. So I would say if I really want to get inspired or get, you know, a refresh, I tend to try to listen to the artists that inspire me.
No doubt. Yeah. So this question is kind of like similar to what you were kind of saying before. But do you have anyone that you kind of look up to as a little singer-songwriter, or just kind of
Yeah, I would say Maren Morris is my main girl that I really look up to for really everything. But yeah, I think Cassie Ashton is also kind of my new one too. She's just super cool. I love her sound and her lyrics, but I also love just her personality. And I like that she's something super cool about her too is she makes all of her own clothing. Everything she wears, she makes. And thrifts and all that. I'm so into fashion. That's kind of my side hobby. So yeah, cool. I love it. So I kind of look up to her in that sense too. Yeah,
absolutely. Like you said you were like into country music earlier. Like you said you like country music. Like who were like the artists that you kind of grew up with, like listening to country music and all that?
Yeah, Keith Urban.
I'm into country music, so I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah, super cool. Keith Urban was a huge one. My dad is like the biggest Keith Urban fan, so he was always playing. Frank Sinatra was another one that was always playing around the house. He's not country, but just another musician. But yeah, I think Keith Urban's honestly the one off the top of my head that was always playing, and Eric Church too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Keith Urban is such a big artist still today. He's been around since basically we're both were kids. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah. Since before I was born, his first single came out, which is crazy.
Yeah, really? Like, I know the same.
Yeah, 99. Yep.
Oh, really?
I don't know how old you are, but I was born in 99. When were you born?
2006.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't realize how much you're so poised. Wow, you should be so proud. I would have never guessed that. Yeah, 99, his first single came out. So like really,
I
really
how long Keith Urban came out his first song. I thought it was maybe the late 90s or 2000s.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, can't believe that. That's something new I learned today, of course.
Yep.
And so if you could kind of work with any like singer-songwriter, who would it be?
Man, if I could write with anybody, I would love to like get in a room with Hardy. I love Hardy. I love like Liz Rose and Hillary Lindsay and Ryan Hurd. Ryan Hurd is Maren Morris's husband. He's a huge writer and artist as well. Yeah. Any of those people writer wise, I would love to be in a room with. If I were to like collaborate musically with somebody, I would love to do like a collaboration with Chris Stapleton or Dan and Shay would be a really cool one too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. So, like, since kind of quarantine started back in like 2020, how much do you think has changed in terms of like songwriting since quarantine started?
Oh man, I think so much has changed negatively and positively. I would say during quarantine, I tried super, super hard to not write online. I didn't want to get lazy. And I feel like a lot of energy and like good vibes are taken out when you're online with somebody. Like the face-to-face interaction is so huge, and being in the room physically with people. I just am like such an energy person, and I need to feel the room. And I don't mean that in like a weird voodoo way. Like I just am like, I don't know. I need the energy from real humans in a room. And I think it's way more inspiring than sitting on a computer screen and getting distracted with text messages or something else, you know, popping up. I mean, you're on a computer screen. There's a lot of distraction. So I think that's kind of one of the negative things is now I feel like people have this out of like, let's just Zoom, you know, we don't have to drive across the city to go meet up. So for me, that's like been kind of a bummer, is I've run into that a few times. But I think the positive thing is like nobody had anything to do. So there was so much writing and music making, more than ever, I think, because people were bored.
Yeah, you know? We had nothing to do. We couldn't leave the house.
Yes. So I think you just didn't have a choice but to either like learn a new instrument or release a song or release a whole project or write with new people or write by yourself. That's one thing that I really did was learn how to just write a song by myself and take the time to like sit with myself and pour out some good stuff. So yeah.
Exactly. Like that was like the biggest kind of part about basically quarantine stories that you couldn't connect with people in person.
Right.
Like face to face and connect with people because like due to quarantine, everyone was kind of scared about what like they didn't know like what the virus is, how dangerous it was, like once it first kind of started in the United States. Like it, everyone to be cautious and to stay home. And the mandates were way worse than it is now.
Right.
And everyone wants to basically stay home and just basically take care of their family and their health.
Right. Right.
And like that's the thing that really hurt me the most is that I like once quarantine started, I was like, I want to see my family. I want to see my friends. Like I actually want to have face-to-face things and actually do things and connect with other people.
Yeah,
like due to COVID, we couldn't do that. Like people want to be cautious and be careful with COVID and don't want to get sick. That was like every time some people like say like, oh, we're not having an event this year like we usually do or parties and all these stuff. I'm like, that's a bummer. Like I want to do something fun. Like I want to have like a good party to go to, like have a good time.
Right.
Like that's like the worst thing that could ever happen. So you couldn't like have a good interaction.
Right. Right.
And so the final question for the interview is, what is some advice for younger generations that to be like a singer-songwriter one day?
Some of the best advice that I ever got was to make sure that you are never, ever the best person in the room. Make sure you're always surrounding yourself with people who are better than you. And that's at every level. I don't care if you've won 500 Grammys. There are going to be people that are going to make you stronger and a better musician. So make sure you are in the room with people who are going to make you better and that you're going to learn from. You never want to be put in a position where you're all on the same level and nobody knows what they're doing, because then nothing is going to happen in the room. You know, you're never going to get anything done. So I always tried to be in a room with somebody who's had more experience, and has had maybe a little more success, or, you know, it's not even about success really. I mean, it could be somebody who's written 100 songs in their life and maybe none of them have been cut by an artist, but I had only written a few songs when I had moved to Nashville. So I want to be in the room with that person who wrote 100 songs, you know, because they've done it. They've done it all and written it all. So I want to hear what they have to say, and I'm going to learn from that. So that's kind of my biggest thing is to make sure you're not the best one in the room. Always surround yourself with better musicians. And another one I think would be is to never take a performance for granted, and always play a show like there's somebody who's going to their last show and somebody's going to their first show. You want to make sure you're performing, because you never know. There could be somebody in the audience who, you know, that's their last show that they're ever going to see, or it's somebody's very first show that they've ever seen in Nashville or wherever. And you just want to always make it a good experience for every single person in the audience. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I really couldn't agree more. I think you just put it like perfectly. And so I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and taking some time out of your day. You're really amazing. I'm so glad to have you on. It's such amazing to talk to you, and we'll definitely see you soon for sure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. You're so sweet, and just so cool that you're doing this podcast. You're amazing. So keep doing it.
Thank you so much. You too as well. And we'll definitely speak soon for sure. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sounds good. See you, girl.
Bye.
Bye.